Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Underneath the Hood. I'm Dave Martin, the owner of Martin's Auto Repair in Central Phoenix.
I'm Glen Hayward, the proud owner of Goodworks Auto Repair in sunny Tempe, Arizona.
And I'm Lee Weatherby with Accurate Automotive in the heart of Mesa.
And together, we represent 140 years of combined automotive experience.
Our goal is to change the perception of our auto repair industry by going behind the scenes and underneath the hood.
And we hope to share with you what it's like to own a small business and give you a perspective from an insider's point of view.
So let's get started. Hey, good morning, Lee. Good morning, Glenn. Stop laughing. It's not funny.
Good morning, Dave.
Get serious here. Let's go.
You know what?
Dave, I
have too much fun around you guys.
I love
now.
your haircut, Dave.
Thank you. Yes, I work hard on that. Trust me. It's shining this bald head is not easy. You have to use some really good wax.
I know, man. I was going to say, what kind of wax are you using?
It feels
there,
good.
brother?
It feels good.
Hey.
Well, so today, guys, I was, as I was on my way in, I saw on the road signs that they're getting pretty creative with now.
Oh, yeah.
It said 98. It's the temperature, not the speed limit. I thought that was pretty
I like it
creative.
more when it says 114.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby, pedal to the metal.
As the guy's right on by. Yeah.
Hey, today, guys, another great podcast, by the way, and thanks all of you viewers out there for listening to us and watching us. But today's topic, we're going to talk about recalls, and we're going to get into what a recall is. We're going to get into how many vehicles are affected by this. But before we do that, Glenn, why don't you give us a day in history, man?
All right, a day in history. On this day, September 30th, we are looking at the introduction of an amazing vehicle, many of which I have driven, worked on, and had friends that had them. The iconic American automobile Mercury Cougar was introduced. Now, that was a sleek, nice, affordable, and they had different versions of it, of course, that you could spend more money on. But the basic model they were all V8 engines.
What year was that, Glenn?
It was in 1966, but they actually put them into production in 66 and 67. They introduced that as a 67
They were
model.
good-looking cars, though.
Oh, I loved them.
I did
Yeah.
too. I had a 67.
The XR7 had the pop-up headlights.
They did. That's the one we had.
The standard model did not have that, but the
You just
XR7...
didn't like the drab green color that they came out in.
Yeah, that's right. There was it. That's what it was.
Well, that's the one I had. It was drab green.
No, they had them in
They had them in
a
red.
copper,
They had them in copper. They
whites,
did.
black. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you can get them in a variety of colors, but
I'll
for
tell you
some
what.
reason, they pushed the weird colors, that puke green or whatever they called it. It was not
Drab.
glamorous.
Olive drab.
But the cars were a quality car, and I had my best friend Craig had one, and he kept it forever. It was a great car. So that's the deal, and that was an event that happened in 1966 to 67. The Cougar came into being.
All right.
Yeah, that's nice. I like the Cougars, boy, especially some of those copper ones when you see them redone. Wow, that's a beautiful car. Really a beautiful automobile.
And who mentioned that? What's the honorable mention on that?
The honorable mention?
Oh, here, I got the honorable mention.
Well, you got the honorable mention.
Yeah, well, it's because it's part of the quote of the day. But the quote is, "Take it easy driving. The life you save may be mine." And it was who said that? And that was the American actor James Dean. And we all know that on September 30th, 1955, he was an aspiring race car driver, and he died at the age of 24 when he crashed his Porsche 550 Spider en route to a race. It's too bad.
En route to a race.
En route to
He
a race.
wasn't even in the race yet. He was getting to the race
Getting
when
to
he
the
was
race.
killed and lost his
It's
life.
more dangerous to get to the race than it is in the race.
Well, think about the roads that we drive on, you guys.
yes. Yeah. Well, that was my point.
Well, and think about this. You were talking about the roads that we drive on. Think about the recalls. Just what we're going to be talking about. Every single recall means it's a safety-related issue. You know what I mean? That we're discussing. And how many of those were there, Dave?
Well, there's 10 million vehicles that were affected. Okay,
Wow.
and that's just the first half of the year.
That's a huge number.
And some of them have multiple issues. It's not just one issue. Some of these, and as I was reading through the material for this, I'm like, some of these cars have 2 or 3 things that need to be fixed on them.
Absolutely.
Well, and then here's the big problem is my daughter had a recall on her car, and so I called them to go ahead and kind of help her with it, and they didn't have a fix for it.
Yeah.
And they said it's probably going to be about 8 months before they have a fix for it.
Yeah, it's incredible because all of these are safety-related type issues.
Yeah,
That's
and
a
what kind of
recall-
how
that's what
does that
qualifies.
instill a sense of confidence in that particular manufacturer's vehicles. And it's not necessarily all of their models, but it's some of their models.
Yeah.
And one of the big problems I see in our industry is the outsourcing of these electronic parts.
Yeah.
They get them done as cheaply as they can in whatever country they can. And the demand is so high to get these things done that I think that there's no oversight or very little oversight. And these parts are coming back. It's just a ticking time bomb. It's just a matter of time before this part that controls so many things in this vehicle fail. And they're not necessarily all things that will cause you to crash and have an accident or die or anything. But, if your air conditioner won't run, I think, Lee, you shared a story about someone who... Go ahead.
Yeah, no, we had a customer that came in, and like I said, I was a little bit taken back to your point. We called. It came in the air conditioning. It's hot out here in Arizona, guys.
Oh my God!
Came in, the air conditioning wasn't working. They says
it's going to be 108 today.
Can you please fix this? We're like, yeah. It's like I was telling you earlier. I think I saw a street sign as I was driving in this morning. 98. It's the temperature, not the speed limit.
Not the speed limit. Yeah, there you go.
No, the interesting thing is that we called over and talked to the manufacturer of this particular vehicle and said, "Hey, this is what we have found. This is the problem." And they says, "Okay, can you get us one?" There's a little bit of a pause on the end of the phone, and the next thing, guy comes back. He says, "This part is on national back order,
Yep.
and we do not have a release date." And I thought to myself, "Interesting. Okay, so what does that mean, and what do I tell my customer?" He says, "Well, we don't have a release date, but we've been authorized to say that it could take up to 44 weeks." I thought, what?
Yeah,
44
almost a
weeks.
year.
Right.
It's like crazy.
It's got to be at least 9 months.
And I'm sure the two of you and probably many other frustrated business owners, auto repair shop owners, call in to order a part that has failed on a vehicle, and they all say, "Oh, it's on national back order," and they're not lying. They do have a few of them on their own shelf to cover their own bacon when the customer comes into the dealership, but they will not release those parts. They have a certain quota and quantity that when they come in, they go on a special shelf, do not sell to anybody. This is for us, right?
And that's you're talking about just the general parts. Glenn, they do the same thing with the recall parts.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh, no, I was referring to the recall
yeah,
part.
Well,
any parts that
parts.
they know that they're going to have to stockpile a certain amount to be able to cover their back sides, and get the customer service, but even they run out of parts.
Right.
I mean, the parts guys are honest. I mean, if you know your parts vendors at these dealerships, they'll tell you, yeah, we even ran out of them. We had a stockpile of them, and they're coming in faster than we can fix them, and I realize that there's a big disconnect between the dealerships and the corporate people who are having these things and outsourcing all of this stuff, because they've created a monster that it's going to take, I think, probably, maybe it'll never get resolved, but it's going to take decades for them to wipe the egg off their face from all the stupid decisions.
And I got to tell you guys something. Here's the thing that I look at, and the way, in my view, is that the technology is moving so fast, and they keep changing these vehicles. We put the same part on probably 10 or 15 different vehicles back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, the design of the mechanical design of the vehicle was pretty close to the same.
Right.
What they're doing now is they're changing everything in the middle of the year, every year, every other year. So what's happened is when they're changing all of these, designs of these vehicles and basically the mechanical part of it, what makes that vehicle tick, there's bad ideas.
Yeah.
And
well, yeah. I mean,
bad engineering,
but think about this.
Problems.
And to your point, and I want to get back on topic, but to your point, they're doing like computers. I mean, I hate to say it. I took my phone in just the other day. It's a computer, and it's 2 years old. Oh, we don't support that anymore. You know what I mean? We don't do that. So in the old days, we used to be able to. They were doing consolidation where they were taking a lot of car lines, let's use GM for an example. You could use this part and it would fit several different vehicles. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, everybody wants to be unique. They want to have unique components to fit their vehicles, or they want to have a unique, uptick.
They want to have an edge.
They want to have an edge.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And I don't mean a Ford edge. I mean an edge over the competition.
Well,
or even within their own brand.
And you talked about it being a computer. Well, I just read today, there's a recall coming out with one of the major manufacturers is having a problem with their screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so in the instrument panel that tells the speed of the vehicle.
You bet.
And all of that stuff. And it's all technology. And you know, another thing, guys, is that, they're putting computers in cars, right? Well, take your tablet and go out in the parking lot, let it sit out there for about, 6 hours like you do your car.
Yeah.
And tell me how well your tablet's going to work.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And so
overheated.
So what they're doing is they're putting these electronics, and here in Arizona, we have extreme heat. We talked
in the
about it
doors,
before.
in the trunks, in the dashes, which oftentimes just get overheated. They're not protected. I mean, people aren't putting sunscreens in there. And even so, the ambient temperature inside that vehicle could be 120, 130 degrees,
Easily.
even if you got shades all over the thing.
That's correct, easily. Well, and the thing is, and I want to make sure that we do reveal this. I mean, I have every confidence in the engineers and things like that are actually producing and making these cars. You know what I mean? There is somewhat of a disconnect, to your point, Glenn, that you were talking about, between, let's call it, the local dealers and then the manufacturing. But at the same token, I'm grateful, really grateful for the administrations and things like that are looking out for us, you know what I mean, as a consumers, and they're getting us these recalls. And here's the thing: the best thing you can do when you do get these notices is don't avoid them. You know what I mean? Make sure that you call your dealers. Now, here's the interesting thing. A lot of people will come in, to our shop and they'll say, hey, we have this recall. Is there anything you can do about it? And the answer is absolutely, we can help you, but we can't do that. I want to make sure that that's clear. The dealer has to do it. The manufacturer has to do that, because
they won't
as
pay
a
us to
recall,
do it.
as a recall, they are keeping a list. They know the cars. 10 million affected vehicles in the first half of 2025. That's incredible, but that's not unique. That's not uncommon. And the thing of it is, you as a consumer, please make sure you call your manufacturer directly. Call the dealer and make an appointment, because that's the other thing. You talk about the parts availability and stuff like that. If they will schedule you in, that means that they're going to have the part available. You know what I mean? And these are the assumptions that you go with, that they're going to have the vehicle available. It's going to take you less time to get the car in and back out. And to your point, Glenn, that I really thought was appropriate, some of these vehicles have 2 or 3 recalls on one vehicle.
Or they have 5 engine transmission options.
Absolutely.
And the computers and all the controllers and stuff are unique to that vehicle.
You bet.
And because of the configuration of where those motors sit and how they sit in the vehicle and the size, they reconfigure AC lines and other hoses. Everything is different. So it becomes very problematic for us, we think we're ordering an air conditioning line for something, and then you got an SE or an SEL or some other tagline after the brand of the vehicle and everything, and it's a completely different part because of the way they had to reconfigure it because of the configuration of the motor and transmission.
And one of the things we didn't even talk about, and we need to bring it up, is let's say you didn't buy that vehicle brand new. You're the second owner or third owner of that vehicle. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you don't get those recalls. Well, and so what happens is, we do this at our shop. When you bring your vehicle into our shop, that's one of the first things we look for.
Yeah.
And because if there's a recall, we just did one where it was a screen.
Yeah.
We were having a problem with the screen, and we looked it up, and of course, on our software that we have, it said in there, these things are they're in this year, these couple of years, they're all bad. Yeah. They all have their issues, and they're all doing basically about the same thing. So that's why it's important, again, to bring your car into a shop that does everything and that has that ability, that has that technology, that they can look it up and go, you know what? Because the last thing you want to do is, let's say you're having a problem with your vehicle, and you bring it in your shop, and then they go ahead and do the repairs, and then you find out later that you spent all that money for no reason.
Yeah. Here's the best part about that, though. If you do go into a shop, and I'm glad that you brought that up. Let's say you go in and you have your car repaired, and then you find out after the fact that it was basically part of a recall or something. You still have an opportunity, to regain the monies that you spent. Yeah. There is a reimbursement program for that. So I don't want people to feel like, no,
that's good though. That's good though. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Because you're right. We have done that too, where we give them all the proper paperwork and they turn it in and they've gotten reimbursed.
You bet.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just a little bit more red tape. It'd be better if you can just get it into the dealer and get it done. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. But the thing of it is, I guess the beauty of it is that at least it was done. It was
Yeah.
completed.
Perfect,
And so
yeah.
don't give up, because
Yeah.
you still have a chance to get, like you say, reimbursed.
And then sometimes we can't even get if the dealer is
Well, they won't
waiting
sell
the
us the parts.
Yeah, right. They won't sell us
No,
the parts.
we
So
can't get
so
them.
it's pretty difficult a lot of times, and you know that when you go to order the part,
Yeah.
even if you miss the recall, you notice it. You're like, hey, there's something going on here. And then like Glenn said earlier, if you know your parts guy really well, he'll
tell you.
Yeah, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
So yeah, good
Yeah.
deal. So, but it's really amazing how many vehicles right now are out there for recall.
Well, and the fascinating thing is, it's okay. And I think I'd shared this before. I bought a car from a customer. We changed it into our name, and that was one of the other things I was going to tell you is, one of the things that you were talking about, your software, how it brings up recalls and open recalls and things like that are available to the vehicle. When you go through emissions nowadays, the emissions sheet shows any open recalls that are on there. It's kind of a great thing now that's being done for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that you can always, whenever you're having to renew your tags and stuff like that, the emission station will give you that. But at the same token, when people come in and they have one of those things that is outstanding, we offer to, help them set an appointment and stuff like that, because I bought this car. Not unknowing, just thought it was a great little car to have, old Dodge Charger. I think it was in 2006 or 2007. And I kept getting these notices. Hey, you have this open recall, open recall, open recall. Finally, someone came to the house. They're getting very, very aggressive about this, because you guys, recalls mean it's safety related and people are getting hurt. All right. That's when they start, the manufacturers start sending people to your home to say, hey, listen, we can take care of that for you, Dave, right now. Would you like us to take care of that? And you're like, wow, this is intense. So it's a great topic. I'm super glad that you guys,
I mean, I was reading one this morning that, Toyota, I think it was the Tundra, the Tacoma, the seat belts can break. They can tear away. I mean,
That's not good.
How could, and Toyota is one of the most responsible manufacturers of vehicles in the business.
But they've had their
right?
share of.
and you guys
They've had their share of recalls, but somehow there's some weak link in the chain here that is just causing these companies. I don't know if it's greed or what it is.
Well,
lack of oversight, manufacturing, outsourcing their manufacturing.
Yeah, outsourcing it is what happens.
No one's perfect.
Interestingly,
I mean, the one thing I will say,
I
and I
understand.
agree with you, but there is no such thing as perfection. We even make mistakes in our shop, and we rectify
The interesting
them.
part about this one was that the seatbelts were only in the vehicles that were manufactured in our country.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't the Japanese.
Well, and that's what happens is they're buying
Different
parts.
products.
Yeah, but because let's face it, the manufacturer doesn't make their own parts. They go to a company that makes it, and what happens is they outsource it, and then
Sub vendors.
sub vendors. But if one of the things I want to get out there to our podcast listeners is that if you want to see if your car has a recall, you can always go to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration website.
Yep.
And I would and it's we'll post up
NHTSA.
NHTSA.gov/recalls.
right.
Yeah.
And maybe you have to put your, vehicle identification number, the VIN number.
Well, that's you have to. You have to put your VIN number in there.
That's how everything's
There's some
tracked.
information they have to have. That way they know specifically
Because
this vehicle has these particular
and you said it
recalls.
earlier. The thing of it is these vehicles. There's some vehicles with a different. It might be the same year, almost the same.
They
made,
look
but it
the
was-
same, but everything inside
what
it.
you
and
said
the hood are
earlier
different.
about where it was made.
The SE
Where it
or
was
the
made.
SEL or,
Well, and where it was made.
limited editions.
Yeah, and like Glenn even said earlier, the thing of it is if it was made in the United States or it was made in another country,
Right.
Sometimes that matters. Sometimes it's just the vehicles that were made at this plant. You know what I mean? Because they used this product or they outsourced it to this company.
And that's so true.
Yeah, and that's
So true.
Yeah, and there again, I'm going to say it again. Go to the website nhtsa.gov/recalls.
And here's the thing: if you do get a notice or a notification, you know what I mean, address it. Don't ignore it. Don't throw it on the desk. Don't.
Well, and
put it to the side.
call your service provider.
Absolutely.
If you're not going to the dealer, obviously, and you got an independent shop that you're calling, call them up and ask them about it.
Yeah.
And they'll guide you. And we do that all the time with our clients. So call us up.
Absolutely.
When they bring their car in for an oil change, a lot of times they'll come in with this, paper that they got in the mail,
Right.
and they'll say, "Hey, what do I do with this?" You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so we'll help them through the process because we
Yeah.
want to make sure, like you said, Glenn, we don't want to ignore it. We want to make sure, or Lee, I'm sorry, we want to make sure that we address it, we get it handled, and help them through the process. So make it as painless as possible. And sometimes we even take the car to the if the dealership can handle it. We'll after we're done with servicing the vehicle, we'll take it to the dealership and drop it off for 'em.
Absolutely.
You know, and just to make sure that it's handled for them. It's part of our service, and so it's important though. To your point, it's important not to disregard it.
Yeah, and I agree, because once again, I want to say it. I think we said it at the top of the show, but recall means safety related.
Yeah.
That's why
Absolutely
that is why they're highlighting the information, making sure, you know what I mean, that if there is something that's been done, a product that's been inferior, quality isn't quite up to where it's supposed to be, you know what I mean, and it can create a safety issue for all of us out on the road, you know, then they call their attention to it, and then they're going to do their best to address it and get it taken care of.
Right. So watch for those notifications. If you've changed your address and that hasn't been reported, you may never get a notification either.
Go to the website like Dave shared with us.
Absolutely. So you need to check for yourself because, like I said, if you've changed it, if you're a college student and you're not living at home and something is addressed to you and your parents may disregard it because they don't know what it is or why it was sent to you.
Well, yeah.
And
Eric Wayne was telling me the other day, they traveled down to Marana, which is down by Tucson, I guess. And he said on the way they saw a little barbecue, you know what I mean, car that was, you know, on fire, and thought to, you know, ourselves, wow, what is it? You know, and we started looking at it. It showed up on the news later that the car had a recall, a little brake switch, you know what I mean, that sits in the side of the thing, caught fire.
Hey, there's people's houses that burned down because of that.
It's sometimes it's the littlest things, guys.
Well,
the
and,
little things.
and think about this too. And one thing I want to be clear about is that there's recalls, and then there's what we call technical service bulletins.
Yeah, TSBs are different.
Yeah, TSBs are different.
Yeah.
And so if your shop or somebody's telling you, hey, you got a TSB on your car, it's not necessarily a recall. It's just something that they're having a technical service bulletin. They're having a problem with that particular.
They have become
design.
aware of a pertinent issue.
Right.
That's
right.
really what a TSB is.
That may or may not affect every model like that was made,
Correct.
but they've had enough of them that they have to put out a bulletin saying this could affect your car. And again, in some cases, it can be fixed by the dealerships, and in other cases, it's on you. It depends on how old your car is, but
You bet.
they're still making you aware.
And a lot of times with these new cars, you guys, and they also have campaigns, you know, we don't
Yeah.
wanna-
Oh,
we
yeah.
don't-
They're all different. They're all crazy and different. But the important thing is that
recall safety related.
Yeah.
Get her done.
yeah.
It's
Just
that
get it done.
simple.
Absolutely. Well, guys, you know what? It's been another great show, and everybody out there, you know, if you do have any kind of recall, definitely get it handled.
I think that the most important thing is make sure that, like I say, you are taking care of the safety of your vehicle. It all goes back to just the things that we're always doing all the time: maintenance, making sure you're doing the proper maintenance, making sure that, you know, you're getting your vehicle checked and on routine basis, and that when things, just don't avoid things. I guess the biggest thing that I would love to have our listeners know and understand is avoidance can be disastrous.
Right.
You know what I mean?
There's liability and responsibility.
There you go.
The liability is
Probably
on
better
the
said.
manufacturer. The responsibility is on you, because if
That's
you
right.
don't respond to their warning that something could happen to your vehicle,
Amen
so
to that.
that's what you got to do.
Yeah, we
Take
have
it
a
in, get it
yeah.
taken care of,
Yeah.
and be safe.
Well,
Well
everybody
said.
out there, thanks for watching us and listening to our podcast. And if you like the show, like and subscribe. We would greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. And hey, guys, it's been a great show, and it's great to see you guys as usual.
Thanks,
and,
David. Thanks, Glenn.
We'll talk to you in a week or so.
Yeah, we'll talk to you maybe next week or the week after.
That'll work.
Yeah, that'll work.